Good morning from San Francisco. This is the Mongoose Internet Audio Show. In part 1 of my NWO Victory series, I demonstrated the point that the New World Order cannot be defeated by we humans alone. Alex Jones, David Icke, Jordan Maxwell, and others mean well in their fight against the inevitable globalization of the world. The fundamental problem with these rebels against the new system is that they are not military strategists. As I mentioned before, the earth is a fierce battle of resources. Military might and strategy is the victor in this lower physical realm. Economics, politics, activism, and ideology is secondary. The people who control the New World Order have been engaged in the ways of war and control for thousands of years. The New World Order is really the Old World Order with a different complexion, but with much better weapon systems and control apparatus. Because they've developed the weapons technology to kill us all abruptly or systematically, they are now openly arrogant and doing whatever they want to. It's the equivalent of an arrogant landlord who unquestionably has the law on his side, so he comes into your house when he wants to and starts taking your things. When you complain, he punches you and knocks your teeth out. He then has you taken away for terrorism. You are then held indefinitely without due process. After that, he confiscates everything in your home and rents to someone else. This is exactly what is happening in America and the rest of the world. Let me give you another analogy. Imagine that you are a rich kid who owns all the bats, balls, and bases. You take all your friends out to play a game of baseball. When your side is losing, you change the rules around so that your side is winning. And no one can do anything about it because they can't play baseball without you. The people who are controlling your banks, media, government, and the corporatocracy are ethnic supremacists. They have been preying on third world countries, indebting their governments so they can harness their precious resources, especially oil. Foreign leaders who try to include their people's welfare in the profits from these resources are driven out or assassinated. Their inhuman, predatory, and parasitic nature is beyond most human comprehension. The vicious, competitive material plane of existence is a gateway to the higher and lower dimensions. You could call it heaven and hell if you like. They are designed and chosen by the higher forces to inherit and rule this lower realm. God, or whatever you want to call this force, gave them real estate here because they sure as hell don't belong in the higher, more subtle realms of existence. They have deluded themselves into believing that man is God, and in doing so, they are now attempting to control and pervert everything that is natural. Earth is essentially sinking into hell, but they believe they will create a utopia for themselves on Earth after they have destroyed as many humans as they desire. They have created a media that intentionally uses mind control techniques to sell the public materialism and, most of all, to brainwash the public. They have created an educational system that is ran by control freaks and activists that can only dummy down the so-called educated. Fighting this kind of scum is like challenging someone to a fist fight, and your opponent shows up with a gun, a knife, and a needle full of AIDS to stick you with when it's all over. Even if you stood a chance, you would have to play as dirty as them. But if you're that dirty, then you're one of them and deserve the lower hellish dimension. What's the point? The earth belongs to them, but there are things you can do to prepare for the hellish nightmare of control and tyranny that they have in store for mankind. First of all, because the international bankers and the corporatocracy are intentionally plunging the world into a severe crisis so that outrageous amounts of control can be implemented, the idea of getting ahead is becoming obsolete. The new strategy is learning how to get behind. Getting behind means learning how to live with less space and less costly food and resources such as housing. It means replacing gas-guzzling cars with bicycles, wagons, and carts. This is because the Henry Ford revolution is now reversing. Instead of going from bikes, wagons, and carts to automobiles, we are now going from automobiles to bikes, wagons, and carts. In the future, the U.S. will resemble poor Asian countries where you see bikes, wagons, and carts all over the place. Next, your dollars are not backed by the gold standard. The enormous paper bubble created by printing unbacked dollars will eventually pop, and hyperinflation will result. They will probably create a major war soon, but even with a major war, the U.S. paper dollar is toast. or at least it's looking that way right now. Therefore, you must view your dollars for what they are, paper. Transform all of the paper dollars you can into hard assets. This includes a large food stock as well as batteries, candles, and survival equipment. Since you can't defeat the New World Order tyranny directly, it's still important to inform others. The more layers of resistance there is, the longer it will take for the forces of Antichrist to get to you and succeed. Don't depend on the mainstream corporate horse to give you the news. Instead, go to websites like Infowars.com or SteveQuayle.com. Most of all, create a spiritual channel. Separating mankind from his divine nature and eventually brainwashing mankind to the point of forgetting his divine nature altogether is how you create a dummied down culture of obedient slaves who serve the forces of Antichrist, or what the Muslims refer to as tajir. Last but not least, study the prophets and the futurists and seek the common vein of future knowledge that exists throughout their predictions and prophecies. This concludes this edition of the Mongoose Internet Audio Show, and don't forget to check out my channel. Have a nice day.